just navigate to Active Directory in Azure. Go to users and let's create a new user, individual user, and we could call this one AVD user. I'll do it all lowercase. Say AVD user. Again, I'll call it AVD user. Now, I could generate a password that, I mean, this is the password that Azure generates. I'd have to save it to Notepad. What I do in the real world is I take that off and I type my own password in so I can remember it. So I type my own password in, and you can see that's a password I'm using. And I've typed that in. Do not use that in the real world. No, but this is showing you you need uppercase, you need a special character, lowercase, and some numbers. So again, I want to enable the account. So let's say I did that and I turned it off and I went next and create. And I said, right, I've created my account. And my account that says that was successfully created. Again, if I go back into my all users, just give it a second and I click the refresh button, that will appear there shortly. And you're probably saying to yourself, I'm clicking refresh, it's not happening. Well, Active Directory is doing some stuff in the background. It's creating that user account, it's setting it up, and we just need to wait. So now there's my AVD user. Now if I click on my AD user there, you can see now the account is disabled. And if I click edit, I can go through here and turn this on and click save, and that will enable the account. If I click edit again, I could disable that account and disable it if I wanted to. Obviously, we want to enable our account, so I'm going to click enable. So that's where we need to get a user. So I will go back to Active Directory by just simply going to AD and clicking on my users and say, right, there's my user account. And if I click on my user account and I go and edit properties, we can see, oh, maybe I spelled the name wrong. So let's change his name to AVD user and then go ahead and click save. And now it's changed that name. So there's my user account called AVD user. So I need an Active Directory account. That might be AVD admin. So you'd want to create an admin account because this is related to the administrator. So you might want to create a called AVD admin. So if I bounce back in here, I can say, okay, this person, I might make them my AVD admin user, or I can say, hey, I've already got a user that's got admin credentials. I come into my user and I can say, well, here we've got AVD lab. So I can click on the AVD lab. I'm lazy, so I'd like to copy the name, and I'll come down here and I will paste the name in. Then I need to know the password for that user. So I'll type in that user's password. And I'll type that password again. And then we're going to come down here, and this is where we can actually use an ARM template. And we use ARM templates if you're wanting to deploy applications, or if I'm deploying 500 people, there's no ways I'm going to be doing this manually. That's insane. I'll use a script. We go next on tags. Yep.
I have a question. So with the virtual machines, and you had to go create a user in the Active Directory, I would have thought that you would have been able to use an existing user,
Yes.
that you wouldn't have had to create, that you could have used an existing user. Is that correct?
Correct. You can use an existing user. Absolutely. It's up to you. As long as you know that user is part of the AD group. You might have an existing user that is an admin for your environment already. Yes, use that user. Absolutely. The reason I'm showing you this, just in case some people have forgotten where that comes from. But yes, I do exactly what you do, Teresa. I actually have an existing user, and I know that's my admin user, and I'd add him to that account. So yes, then we click review and create. Now again, this is going away and doing that.
Sorry, Ryan. Can I quickly ask a question? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so while you were, creating the user, my screen was stuck for a while, so I didn't see what you do. But I do have a question. Now, for the user that you created from the Azure Active Directory, did you what did you give this particular user any particular admin assignment?
No, we are going to do that another way. Now, remember, our user that we created, like Teresa and I use in the real world, is you would select an existing user from Active Directory. It can be a standard user. It doesn't need to be important. What's important is when that user gets added to our resource group, that's where we go and set up our identity and access management. That is where we grant Azure AVD permissions. So again, I'll show you as you do this. But that's a really good question. So yeah, then once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and click create. But again, if you make a mistake, you can always go back by clicking on these tags. You might say, oh, come down here. Oh, I made a mistake on my virtual machine. So you just click on the top here and you can go back and you can say, did I make a mistake? Did I make a mistake? Oh, I've chosen Azure Active Directory. If you click Active Directory, you're not going to connect. Because have you deployed a domain controller? No. Did you deploy a Windows server? No. Microsoft this is running the latest version of server. Microsoft Azure actually runs on Hyper-V. It's a special version of Hyper-V. So we can say, oh, that's all good. We can go next on tags and we can just go next all the way through. It'll run another validation. This validation is telling us, yeah, we've ticked all the tick boxes, and now we click create. Now this is going to take a good 10 or 12 minutes to create. So why is it going to take so long? This isn't an interview question, but also your customers will say, what's taking so long, Teresa? What's taking so long, Tomedio? You guys, what's the problem? I thought you were experts. You know, you get some people, excuse my French, who are dickheads. They just don't, some people try to do this to humiliate you, and some people are just plain donkeys. That's the only word I can use, being diplomatic. So the reason, can anyone tell me why it's taking so long to create?
It's probably because it's happened to have access to all the different applications.
Correct. And what else? How many virtual machines are we deploying?
Oh, 30, you said.
What divide?
No, so if we're deploying virtual machines, we're deploying 2. So if you're, so even if you're deploying any more than 2 virtual machines, obviously in the real world you would. It's got to, what it's doing, it's installing Windows. It's connecting that virtual machine to Active Directory in the background. It's then deploying Office 365.
Office 365 app for business, yeah.
And setting it up.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in 1 minute. That takes a bit of time, so it's the same like you'll go to the supermarket and you'll do your grocery shopping and you'll buy, say, meat. You might buy chicken and beef and whatever. Do you come home and cook all the meat at the same time? If you did, if your husband did that or your partner did that or you did that, you'll be in big trouble. So what you'd do is you'd put the meat in the deep freeze. And you might say, well, okay, tonight I'm going to have chicken. And then you take the chicken out. The chicken is frozen. You don't just say, well, let's throw it in the pot and cook it. You let it thaw so that it defrosts. So it takes time. So think of Azure, what we're doing now. We are defrosting that multi-session image. Once it's defrosted, we can work with it. And it takes a few minutes to deploy. Another thing that's really important in a real world environment, when you see this screen, do not navigate away from it. Yes, your deployment will continue, but then Azure sometimes gets confused and your nice hair will be like mine, fall out straight away, because to try and fix stuff will be a problem. Also, what makes a good engineer is being patient. Being patient makes a good engineer. Not everything is done next, done. And the reason we go next, how many of us have installed software and we go, oh, the license, next, just finish. We do that, it's inbred. So sometimes we click next and we go, oh, crap, should have clicked next, but it's too late. And that's because we come across so many applications where we just go next all the time, and we end up in hot water. So again, what's going to separate you from the next person is saying, okay, I'm got to be patient. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I recabled our rack, which at our office. I'll put some photos up on LinkedIn. But that was some hours of work because I had to unplug the cables. But before I could do that, I had to mark every port, see which each cable went. Before I could do any work, that requires patience. So again, we just have to be patient while that deploys. Once that is deployed, then we can kick off and we can carry on. And the reason I'm doing this from the ground up is so there's a few folds around this. One, you're not going to get caught with your pants down. There's no I gotchas. Secondly, they'll say, wow, this person that's helping me with my AVD deployment, they know their stuff. Straight away, your customer, your boss has automatically, you've gained their confidence. Straight away. There's nothing worse than when someone doesn't trust you. And how do you know if a person is good or not? By the way they do things. And so again, if your boss is saying to you, hey, Teresa, hey, Tamidio, this is taking too long. Well, this is why it's taking long. We just have to be patient. Once this is done, we can move through the next part because it's doing a lot of stuff in the background and navigating away from that screen. Yes, you can. But I've learned from experience, no. That is why I said open up another session. So now if you need to navigate away and you need to come and do stuff, you can go ahead and do stuff. I can even go straight to my AVD here and do other bits and pieces. But again, all of this will not work until our VM has been deployed. So you can come in here and try and do stuff. It's like me taking my meat out the freezer. It's taking too long to defrost. Bring the hammer. Let's smash the meat to break the ice up. First of all, yes, it will help defrost it quicker. But what's the meat going to taste like? So instead of having chicken, you can have mincemeat or something. So that's
or mashed meat, yeah.
Or mashed meat. So that's the thing where you have to sometimes say, okay, we need to wait. Be patient. It's doing its thing. So again, opening these two screens allows you just to have that flexibility. So we wait and we click on the bell notification. You can see here it says it's taken 6 minutes. This will probably take a good 10 or 12 minutes to finish its deployment. And this is where you can actually sit back. Another thing that makes a good engineer is documentation. Have a pen and a pad and write stuff down. Or hey, open up Notepad on your computer and make some notes. Because if you're like me, sometimes you'll go, what the hell did I do there? I can't remember. Then you can, you look at your notes and you can go back to your notes and you can grab your information. So again, a good engineer will always document their processes. I cannot tell you the environments that I've gone into, well-known environments that with companies that you see on the news and companies that you read about online, and their documentation is up the bloody creek. Now, there's nothing worse than trying to fix a problem and you don't know what the problem is, but when there's no documentation to help you, then it's not saying you can't fix the problem, it's just going to take a lot of time and you're going to sit there and you're going to go, holy crap, this was just going to take forever. So document stuff and keep that, as your knowledge base, because as you go through your deployment or as you troubleshoot, you can start ticking stuff off. So again, the hallmarks of a good engineer: being patient, being vigilant. Look at your screen. You'll be surprised how many people, and then did you actually look at what you're clicking at? It's the same like if you're getting dressed and you're going to dinner or you're going somewhere, I'll just wear that and off I go. No, you say, okay, well, I'm going to wear jeans, or hey, I'm going to wear this dress. I think it'll be good if I put some makeup on, or hey, it'll help if I comb my hair, or tie my shoelaces, or it'll be good if I wear clean clothes to begin with. So it's that type of thing that's going to separate you. And I'm trying to use these analogies in the IT world that separates you from the next person. I've seen people deploy AVD environments and it falls over quickly, or they deploy it and the network is slow and people complain, my environment is slow, my things don't work, and this whole AVD sucks. And I thought you said Azure was good. It's a piece of crap. It's not good. I'm worse off. That's when you need to step back and say, who did the deployment? Where's the documentation? And how was it deployed? Because it makes a big difference to your environment. For example, if you've got a car and you're driving in the city, it's fine. The city has nice tar roads and, its roads are reasonably good. But if you go out into the rural areas, are you going to drive your Mercedes in the rural areas if you have a flashy car? No, you need to get a four-wheel drive or a pickup truck, or some case. Another analogy is, do you plow a field with your car or do you use a tractor? You will use a tractor. So it's getting the right tools for the right job. It's the same as athletics. You don't get a 100-meter athlete to run an 800-meter race. They'll lose because they're not designed to run that race. So it's all about thinking about your deployments. What do I need to deploy this? Before I even make any deployment, how many people are connecting to my AVD? What applications are you going to publish? Who's going to use those applications? How are those applications going to be available? Well, I don't have the Azure Virtual Desktop. Well, okay, everybody can connect to the internet. Okay, they're connecting to the internet. Now, the way you connect to the internet through a router in your office is going to be very different if I hotspot my phone. You think my phone connection is quicker than my fiber connection? No. And what happens is when we have latency is a fancy word for a slow connection. So when you have bad latency, trust me, people will be whinging and whining like little children. This sucks. And that's because they can't do their work. Have you ever opened up a web page and you sit there and you're going, oh, it's taking too long. I'm going to close the web page down, and you go somewhere else. That's because of latency. Latency is the time it takes for something to respond. If you open up a command prompt and you type ping www.google and see the reply, and then you say ping www.bbc and see the reply, you get two different responses, and that's what latency is. So sometimes as an engineer, we have to wait. We've done our part, Azure needs to do their part, and then we'll come back and we'll do our part. So again, being patient, everybody, is so important when you are deploying stuff. I mean, I was deploying stuff for SpaceX, and I had people saying, oh, this is taking time. I'm like, dude, go and grab some coffee.
Yeah.
It'll take as long as it takes. What am I supposed to do until then? I don't know. Go, that's up to you. You've got 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Do whatever you need to do. Don't worry about it. When it's done, I'll let you know. And again, you also need to have the confidence to say, stop, I'm doing this, bugger off. That's or go away and I'll let you know. Because some people sit there and they'll watch.
Ryan, can I add one to your good engineer? You talked about documentation. I would also say, put your name on everything you do. So if you have a client and your time is done and later on they see that documentation, who are they going to call? You. Put your name on everything.
Absolutely. Put your name on everything, because
that's more like imprint, like an imprint, Your
but also, I mean, absolutely, but also more importantly, Teresa, is you'll be surprised how many people will try and steal your work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that happen to me. I deployed a big network for a big customer. Someone came behind, because I hadn't put my name on the documentation, they put their name on, presented it to management, and not only they got all the credit and all the bonus, and I was a little bit upset because nobody took the time to mention me, and I did all the work. So I said, that's okay. And I said, okay, guys, I'm out of here. I've found another job. I wish you guys all the best. Their network broke. I said, well, you got the bonus.